When I started smoking, it was out of curiosity, more than it was due to peer pressure of friends. I had no family members that smoked. You know, even my best friends didn't know that I smoked. I kept it really hidden from everybody. It did make me feel more like a man. After my children were born, they got to be, you know, past the toddler age. You know, I remember trying to quit.
Aaron's been a smoker for 24 years. Looking back at our years together when he was a smoker, our children, we would take to the doctors and they would always have stuffy noses, asthma-like symptoms, and the doctor would always tell Aaron and I it's because of secondhand smoke, or, you know, does Aaron smoke in front of the kids? And I could see the sadness in Aaron's eyes.
I did keep failing. And I finally got to the point to where I was, because I had failed so much, I knew I would never succeed through traditional methods. There was just, you know, I was failing at failing, you know, and I relented to that.
Aaron was upset that he made the kids sick. Through the course of our marriage, I've seen him quit several times, or attempt to. He's tried the gum, he has tried the patches, and nothing he tried ever worked. You know, in school they educate you on black lungs, they educate you on, you know, how harmful smoke is. So, you know, the kids come home from school and, you know, they're like, Dad, why do you continue to smoke?
In December of 2010, I saw something on YouTube or on Facebook or something somewhere where somebody was talking about electronic cigarettes, and I had never heard of them before. And did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos, read a lot of studies, you know, saw the FDA studies and everything else that was out there.
He did a lot of research, and so he bought his first kit and never looked back. We found out together that the e-cigarette is a water vapor. It's not smoke from tobacco leaves. It doesn't burn. It doesn't produce the carcinogens that tobacco leaves produce.
I remember at 2:30 I went outside, had a cigarette, and that was the last cigarette that I have smoked. It fixed the problem that the pills and the patches and the gums couldn't fix. Having to put something in my mouth, you know, inhale on it, blow out the smoke or the vapor, that satisfied that part of the psychological side.
Aaron Fraser is the founder of the Utah Vapor Association, created in 2011 to provide support and education regarding alternative methods of tobacco harm reduction. After a few months, he had to fight his first battle against the ban, the sales ban.
I caught wind of the Utah legislature trying to enact a sales ban on electronic cigarettes. So it would have made it impossible for me to not only purchase over the internet, but purchase locally. But I got to realizing that if I don't do something to try and stop this, then I will go right back to smoking again. So I started posting in some online forums, created a Facebook page for it, made a little group in the online ECF forums, trying to find other vapors. I went from being somebody who despised even talking about politics to somebody who fights it every step of the way.
There was a bill that came up in the Utah legislature that would have banned flavors, and it would have banned internet sales of electronic cigarettes. And so I went and I testified at a committee meeting, and we actually shut the bill down, and they didn't let it through. And so it was like, yes, you know, we won this battle. This is great. And I got really involved in fighting this legislation, and became a member of CASA, and eventually became a member of the board of directors, trying to educate people about them and let people know who are vapors, what's going on in their, you know, locally for them. When the Utah bill came up this year, we knew that we were going to be fighting different type of ban.
We got the bill sponsor. We got a few of the other representatives and even some of the senators to publicly recognize that there was no data that said vapor was bad, that it was harmful, either for the consumer or for somebody standing right next to you.
When I testified to the committee, it seems to me that we need to encourage people to take up reduced harm methods for dealing with nicotine addiction, and if the only reason why somebody begins to smoke an e-cigarette or to use an e-cigarette as opposed to smoking is the fact that they can do it indoors in a public place, well then more power to them. Really, who cares what got them motivated to do that? The fact of the matter is, if they did that, it's better for everybody that comes into contact with them. The people that live in their homes, the people that drive in cars with them, the people that work in close proximity to somebody that's using tobacco. And I think as a society and as a people, we should try to encourage people to use safer methods as opposed to trying to discourage that through some kind of moral law. I don't believe you can ever legislate morality, and I don't think that people should try to, because what is your morality might not necessarily be mine. And I don't believe that any one group should try and force that on anybody else.
I find that the electronic cigarette ban, or attempted bans in any state, including Utah, is an alarmist reaction to addiction. The electronic cigarette business, or the non-inhalable tobacco, such as a snus pouch, that type of thing, smokeless tobacco, really has about a 2-generation industry lifespan as people are getting away from nicotine. Banning it completely will many, many times condemn people who are cigarette smokers to having to smoke cigarettes because they're unable to give up their addiction. And this still leads to higher health problems.
My entire family smoked. Smoking was ubiquitous. Everyone did it. You could smoke anywhere you wanted. Bans were unheard of, so it was just what you did. It was a rite of passage as to be an adult. In 2005, my mother, a lifelong smoker, was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer. I took care of her every day for the 9 months that it took for her to die. She was in a coma for the last 5 days of her life. She would come in and out. Never expressed regret at having smoked, and if she did come out, she wanted a cigarette first thing. And over the course of those 9 months, I don't know how many times I said to myself, if this doesn't make me quit smoking, nothing's going to. And it did not make me quit. I continued to smoke. When the FDA held this press conference saying we found carcinogens, we found diethylene glycol, without saying the amount, because the rule of toxicology is the dose makes the poison. So in nanograms, I'm looking at these numbers, in nanograms there are 8 in a nicotine patch, 8 in an electronic cigarette. In a Marlboro Light, there are 11,190.
The consumer advocates for smoke-free alternatives are not advocates of nicotine addiction. We're advocates of harm reduction for those who are not able to quit completely. The concern that we have is that the baby, so to speak, will be thrown out with the bathwater. That a harm reduction strategy of remaining a nicotine user but not incurring the risks of actual tobacco inhalation will cause more harm than good.
I know there's about 2.5 to 3 million electronic cigarette consumers in the world right now. And it's growing probably by thousands every single day of the week. The consumers now are a real threat against the tobacco companies, against the pharmaceutical companies, against our government, because we have all succeeded where all of these organizations have failed.
E-cigarettes and vaping changed my life. I literally had a stranger come up to me and say, "You should try this." And since then, I've had a dramatic change in my health. I'm a diabetic. I took a lot of insulin. In 6 months after starting electronic cigarettes, I don't have to take insulin. I don't have to take medication anymore. I've lost 65 pounds. I'm more active. I'm healthy. It literally, in my opinion, saved my life. Before we even started the documentary, I came to the agreement with for the production crew that none of us would ever receive any money from this documentary. So any money that's ever made from it will be assigned to CASA. What my goal was to put together a film crew to be able to really put into production a high quality documentary. The documentary focuses around stories that an average smoker would relate to, as well as telling some of the, helping dispel some of the myths that are out there. Here in the United States, unfortunately, the media does a horrible job of representing what electronic cigarettes are. They focus more on the fear factors of it and try and kind of perpetuate this state of fear because it gets them viewers. There are two main areas that you can get to us. The first is wearevapors.com is the main website where you can get links to what the current funding campaign is, things along those lines, as well as we firm up the schedule where we'll be, so you could volunteer if you're in Chicago or Dallas, or if we can arrange it, maybe even in Italy, to be able to do that and just come out. There's always hands that are needed. So there are a whole bunch of ways that we're looking for people to help with us. But really the best and absolute thing that somebody can do for the project is to spread the word.
We believe that no one should ever ban the possibility of choosing a less harmful method to inhale nicotine. You cannot make bills based on morality because no one can talk without data and evidence that can justify such important choice. Flavor is always in first line, next to each user of electronic cigarette. We are the only one company in the world that studies the effects of flavoring on living cells, and now we are also studying the second-hand smoke. We hope that Clearstream and Clearstream Air will help Utah Vapors and CASA to make the difference, reversing the bill that bans the indoor usage of an electronic cigarette. Finally, we would like to say thank you to Link Williams and all the VP Live guys. Spreading the word, giving to all the people a correct information, it's one of the most important things that you can do to make the difference, and those guys are doing an amazing job. We will not instigate the use of an unknown substance. We like to discover this world, giving you the right to choose.